Hi everyone, this is Sunny from Database Tech. So today I had come up with one more new session on SQL queries and interview questions. In today's session, I will explain some basic commands that we use in SQL Server database. We will go through following commands which are how to create database, how to create table, how to use database, insert command, delete command, update, distinct, where, and or not operator, order by, insert into and select to into command, top, like and wildcard operators in, between, alias, drop, truncate and comment. Let's now understand all the commands one by one practically in SQL Server. And this is SQL Server. So let me show you first how to create new database. So let's do that. Now what is the syntax to create a database? It is simple. You have to write down create database and the name of the database. For now I had given the name as test, but you can give any name, depends on the requirement, like what kind of database you need to create. So what's next now? To execute the query. And how to execute the query? Just select the query and click on execute. In the message below you can see command completed successfully, which means our database name as test has been created. And if you want to check the database where it has been created, then you have to go to Object Explorer, which you can see from the left side. So here it is. Just you can refresh the databases first so that the change will reflect here, and then expand the databases. In this you will find all the databases which belongs to this server, and with that you will also find your database which you have created, that is test. There is one more way to check the databases, that is this drop down list. In this list you will find all the databases which have in this server, and here is our database which is test that we just created. And this is how we can create a database and can check the databases where it exists. Now moving to next command, that is create table. So let's see how to create table. For that I had one script which we can do the copy and then paste it here to save our time. Let me explain like how to create table with the query. So what you have to do, create table and the name of the table, and then we have to define the variables. For now we had defined 3 variables, but you can give many variables which depends on the requirement, like what kind of variables you need to define and how many are they. Now let me explain the variables that we had given here. So first is id, and the data type is int, because we are going to store integer values in this variable. The next variable is name. So name can store character values as well, so that we have defined the data type as varchar. Now coming to next, that is salary, which is again of data type int, because it's going to store integer values. Now what we can do here, we will execute this query. And how to execute the query? Now you will be knowing that we have to select it and then click on execute. But before that you have to check like in which database this table is going to create. And how we can check that? We have to see the database. In the drop down list, which database is selected, because whatever the query you will execute here in this session. Now what is session? So this is one session. If you need to open one more session, what you can do, click on new query. So this is one more session, and right now we are working in this session. So what I mean here is, what I'm trying to explain, whatever the queries you will execute here, whatever the update command, delete command, or you are creating the table that will impact that database, that get created in that database which is selected in this drop down list. For now, if it is master, and when we execute this query, whenever we try to create this table, it will get created in this master database. So what's important here, what was our requirement? To create the student table in the test database that we just created. So for that, what we can do, either we can change the database name here and make it test from master, or we can do this from query. So let's see how we can achieve this using query. Now suppose if it is master selected here and we want to get this executed in the test database, then what we can do, we can use database name. By writing this query, when we execute this query, you can see that the master will change to test, the database we had given here. In the same way, you can give any database you want. So sometimes what happens, like by mistake you forgot to change the database name. So it is better to use the database name here, to use this query, so that whatever the table you will create here, that will get created in the database that you want. So now let me show you this query to execute. In here you can see that master changed to test database. Now when we execute this query here to create a table, this get created in which database? Test, which is selected here. And if you want to check the table here in the database, what you can do, first refresh so that the change will reflect here in this database, and then expand it, go to the tables. Here is our database table, which is student. So this is how we can create table, we can define variables, we can define data type, and we can create database and use database. Now moving to next command, that is insert command. Let's see how insert command works. But first let's pull out the data from the table. And what we can do for that, what is the syntax to pull out the data? We can use select query. And how to use that? Select star from student. Execute. Right now we don't have any data, so that's why we can see the structure only, the column header only, ID, name and salary, which we just created here. And now to insert the data in the table, what we can do, we can use the insert query. Let's do that. We can copy the insert commands and then paste it here. And how to insert the data, let's see. How many variables we have right now in this table? It is 3 variables, ID, name and salary. When you are inserting the data in the table, if you have 3 variables, you have to pass 3 values, which we have done here. First, for ID it is 1, name is Sunny and salary is 1000. So this query will insert 1 row. Now what we need is, we need 5 rows. So that's why we had used the same query 5 times. Now when we execute the query, it will insert 5 rows in this table. So let's do that. Now to pull out the data, we use select query. So this is the output that we have. It's working as expected. The rows, the data that we inserted here, that you can see now in this output when we pull out the data from this table. So it is working fine. And this is how the insert query works. Now moving to next command, that is how to delete data from a table. So let's see that. Now suppose you have the requirement where you have to delete some data from the table. Then how we can achieve that? Using delete query. And what is the syntax for that? You have to write down delete from table name. And what's table name? It is student, where id equal to. So why we had given id? Because this id is unique, and we should always go with the unique data when you are deleting, because we can have, like if we are deleting Sunny, so we can have multiple people with the same name, but the employees are always unique. Employee IDs are always unique. So we prefer, when we are deleting the data, we should go with the unique data. Now, if you have the requirement, you have to delete ID 3. Then what you can do, where ID equal to 3. It will delete the ID where it is 3. And if you have to delete some other ID like 4 or 5 or 1, then you can give accordingly. You can mention here 4 or 5 or whatever is the requirement. So for now, let's delete 3. And to execute the query, what you have to do? Select the query and then click on execute. In the message below, you can see one row affected, which means the data has been deleted from the table. And to verify the data, let's pull the data from the table. You can see now ID 3 is not there in this table and it has been deleted. Now, if you have to delete multiple IDs, at that time, how we can achieve that? It's simple. You have to write down where ID in. In is the keyword for deleting multiple IDs if you need, like ID 1, 2, 3. If you have to delete 3 IDs, you can give in the in operator, where ID in the brackets, you have to provide the IDs with the separated commas. Let's see this query. 2 rows affected because we had already deleted 3, so it will not delete that. It's already deleted. Now to check the data using select query, you can see now we had only 4 and 5. So by this way, we can delete the data. Now moving to next command, that is update. So let's see how update works. Now suppose you have to update the salary for ID 4 or ID 5, and how we can achieve that? Using update command. And what is the syntax for that? Update table name, set salary equal to, right now it is 1000, you can make it 5, where ID equal to 4 or 5, which depends on the requirement. For now, let's update this for ID 4. Execute the query, one row affected. Now when we again pull out the data from a table, you can see now salary is now 5000 and earlier it was 1000. Now this was how we can update a single record. Now if you have to update multiple values, then what you can do? You can mention here set salary equal to 5000, comma, name equal to Sahil, where ID equal to 5, or you can give ID equal to 5. So we are right now updating multiple values. And what we have done, we had given the comma here, and then here we had given the name equal to Sahil. So let's see it's working or not. One row affected. To check the data, to verify the data, you can see now the name changed to Sahil and the salary changed to 5000. So by this way, we can update multiple values. Moving to next command, that is distinct and or not operator. So let's see how these commands work. To understand this in a better way, let's first again insert the data in the table. To check the data, so we have this output now. Now, if we have the requirement where we need the unique data from the column, then how we can achieve that? What I mean is right now you can see for the ID column we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 is coming twice. The same way 4 is coming twice, but we don't need that. I need unique data. It should come only once from that column. I need to check that. Then at that time what we can do, select distinct ID from table name. So when we use the distinct keyword here, it will give us the unique data from that column which we had given. So let's see it's working or not. You can see now we are not getting the duplicate values. When we use the distinct, it is giving us the unique data from that column. Same way, it's not like you can give only for that ID column. If you need this for name column also, you can get that. You can see we have all the unique data from this column. So this is how distinct works. Moving to next command, that is and or not operator. So let's see how these operators work. We have this data. Now if we need some particular value like select star from student where ID equal to 1. So we are getting this record. Now if we need to apply filter for multiple values, like we need that data where ID is equal to 1 and name equal to Sunny. At that time what we can do, we need to provide both the filters, both the conditions. At that time we can use AND operator. What I mean is both conditions, like we need both the conditions should be true. So let me write this and then I will explain. And name equal to Sunny. So in this scenario, both the conditions should be true, then only we will get the data. So ID equal to 1 is true, name equal to Sunny. So right now we will get the data. But if I change the name here, if I make it Yogesh, and then when I again execute this, right now the first condition is true, ID is 1, but the name is not Yogesh. So do we get the data? No, we will not, because both the conditions, both the filters that we had given here are not satisfying. So that's why we didn't get the data. When we are using the AND operator, both the conditions should be true, then only we will get the data. But if we use OR, let's see now the difference between AND and OR. You can see now we are getting where ID equal to 1, this one, this record for that, and name equal to Yogesh, so we are getting this record for that. So in OR operator, either if the first condition is true, it will give us that data, or if the second condition is true, it will give us that data. In this scenario, it will not check for the both. Either if this is true, it will give that data. If this is true, it will give that data. So it will give both the data. This is how this works. Now coming to next operator which is not. Now if we need that data from this table where id not equal to 3, what we need is, we need everything but we don't need this id equal to 3. So for that we had not operator. So let's see how that works. Select star from student where id not equal to 3. So for this column id, you can see now we had everything. We had all the values, we had all the IDs, but you will not find 3 here in this ID column because we don't need that. So that's why we had specified the not operator. If we don't need 4, we can give 4. So you will not find now 4 from this column. So that's how this not, and or operator works. Moving to next command now, that is order by. So let's see how order by works. So let's first pull out the data from the table, which is this one. You can see the output below. Drag it to the top. Now what we need is, see, we had this data. You can see now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, then again it is 4, and then it is 5. In the same way, we have the data for name and for salary. Now what we need here is, we need data in the alphabetical order, or for the integer values we need that order by. It should be either in the ascending or descending, because you will not see the order here. It's coming 4, 5, and then it is 4, and then again it is 5. So it is not in the order by. Neither it is in ascending, neither it is descending. Same for the name column. It's neither in the alphabet, it's not in the alphabetical order. But now we can achieve that with order by clause. And how we can do that? Let's see. Now if we need to order this ID column in the ascending or descending, we can achieve that using order by, like select, let's see how, select star from student order by ID ascending. So this is the keyword order by, and then you have to provide the column name and then this ascending. If you need the data in ascending order, you have to give ASC. You can see now 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and 5, 5. It's now in the ascending order. If you need this in descending order, then you can give descending, DESC. See now, for the ID column, it is 5 is coming first, and then 4, then 3, then 2, and then 1. In a similar way, if you need the same for name column, you can achieve this. You will see now the letters with Y are coming first, then S, S, N, M, D, and D. If we make this ascending, it will come the D first, then M, then N, S, and Y. By this way, you can manage the alphabetical order for your table using order by. Moving to next command, insert into and select into, and we will also understand the difference between these two. So we have the data which is student. We have 7 rows in this table. Now you have the requirement where you have to copy the data from this table to another table, and you don't want to create the new table. At that time, what you can do, you can use the select into query. And what is the syntax for that? Let's see. Select star into test123 from student. So test 1, 2, 3, it's not a table. We have not defined this. If you try to find this in this test database, you will not find this. Let's see, it's there or not. Go to tables, you will not find test 1, 2, 3. We have ABC and then student. And we had not defined the data type, nothing. We are just creating this right now with this query. So what we are doing here with this query, we are selecting star into, we are copying the data from the student into this table. So let's execute this first and then I will show you. 7 rows affected, which means the data has been inserted in this new table which we just created with this query. And now if you pull out the data from test 1, 2, 3, you will find all the data which we had in the student table. So this is how we can achieve this requirement using select into command. And it's copying all the data and it has the same data type which we had for this student table. Same number of variables, same data type and same data. Now we can achieve this with one more query which is insert into. Let's see how that works. Insert into test 1, 2, 3, 4, select star from student. But right now the difference here is when we use the select into command, it doesn't need this table to be created. So, but when we are using this query insert into, for this we have to define this table which you are creating. So it should be existing. We cannot use this, we have this table should be existing, and then only we have to define this table, we have to define the data type, then only this we can insert the data from this student table. So right now we don't have this table. When we execute this, you will find it say invalid object name test 1, 2, 3, 4. But when we use the existing table which is test 1, 2, 3, and when we again execute this query, you will see now 7 rows affected. So it will work only in that case when this table is present. So you may have now understood the difference here. For select into, it's not mandatory that this table should be there. But when we are using insert into, the table we are using in the query, it should be there. Moving to next command now, that is top. So let's see how top works. We will first pull out the data from the student. We have this data. Now sometimes see, right now we have less number of rows, and if you are working in the company, if you are working in the production environment, you can have the scenario where we have table with the millions of rows. At that time, if you have to verify something, if you have to check the number of rows, or some you had to find out the data type or some other things like the salary or some other testing you had to do, at that time you don't need all the table to retrieve, you need just few rows. So how we can achieve that? By using top command. So let's see how we can achieve that. Select top 3 star from student. We don't need all the data from the table, so we had used this top 3. It will give us only 3 records from the top. You can see now. With this we can do our testing, we can check the data, what data we have, so what are the name, what are the variables, we can specify, we can check, and then can work accordingly. So our performance will also not impact. So it's always a good practice to use top command when you are retrieving data from the production rather than extracting everything from the table. Okay, so that was stop command. But this way, if you need some more rows, you can do that, like select top 100. It will give you 100 first 100 rows. Moving to next, that is like and wildcard operators. So let's see how these operators work. Now suppose if we need that data from the name column where the first letter starts with S or D or some other letter. How we can achieve that? We can achieve this using wildcard operators. So let's see how these work. Select star from student where name like, the keyword is like. We should give the letter as S, or whatever the letter you need, whatever the requirement you have, you can work accordingly, you can give accordingly. So right now what we need is the first letter should be S, so it is giving us that rows. It's not like you can only give the single letter, you can give multiple. So right now let's see now again. It has given us more filter way. You can see now it is S and U. The same way you can give N. So this is how it works. If you need that data where the name starts with S or U or any letter, you can work like this, like operator you have to use, like keyword, then the sign, and then you have to give the letter. In the same way, if you need, let's first pull out the data. Select star from student. We need that data where the name ends with H. So we will give like that, where the name ends with H. You can see now we have all the names where the name ends with H letter. In the same way, if you need like this, SH, it will give accordingly. By this way, we can pull out the data like this. Now, if we have the requirement, like it doesn't matter where it's the letter is coming here, the first letter or the last letter, we need, like, if the letter is coming anywhere in this field, okay, then it should come. Like we need, if A is coming anywhere in the name, it should give us that output. Right now it will not check the first letter, neither last letter. It will check if A is coming anywhere in this name column, it will give us that data. So these are the rows where these are the, like from the name column it will check. Okay, so you can find here, here it is A, here it is A, and A. It will give us all that data where the A letter is present. So these are the wildcard operators, how they work. Now moving to next command, that is between. So let's see how between works. We have the data. Now if we need, like we need that salary where it should start with 1000 and end with 5000. So how we can achieve that? Or you can say we need that IDs, it should start from 3 and end with 5. So we can use between operator. Select star from student where salary between 1000 and 5,000. You can see now we have all the salary. It should start with 1000 and end with 1000. In a similar way, if you need like IDs starting with 3 and ending with 5, so we can give where ID between 3 and 5. It will give us that record. You can see now 3 and 5. You will not see ID less than 3 and greater than 5. This is how between operator works. Now moving to next command, that is alias, drop, truncate and comment. So let's see how these commands work. First let me show you alias. So how these alias works. Here you can see we have the header, column header for each column, ID, name and salary. Sometimes we create columns by own by using the query, or you have used group by, or you are using join. Now suppose, let me give you some example. Now suppose what we are doing here, select ID, comma, ID plus salary from student. Now when we execute this here, you can see now for the second column which we just created by adding these two columns, it doesn't have the column header because it's not existing in the table, it's not there in the table, so that's why it doesn't have the column header. But to give it a meaningful name so that we can understand, for that sometimes we need that, so to achieve this requirement what we can use alias. We can give as total. So as is the keyword we can use as total. When we execute this again, you will see now the column header now will be total for this column which was not there, which was not existing in the table. This is how the alias works. In a similar way, you can do the same for other columns which you are creating from the query. You can use the as keyword and then give some meaningful name to that column header. Now let's see how comment works. So you have, this is session. As I said earlier, this is session 1, this is session 2. So right now you are working in this session. You have the update queries as well as delete queries. Sometimes what happen, like by mistake, you click on execute. So all the queries that you had in this session get executed. To prevent this, what we can do, we can use comment. So for update commands, you can use comment, so that if missed by mistake, if you click on execute, this update command will not execute. At that time, it will not work. By same way, you can give comment for this line. So whatever the lines are commented, it will not get executed. And this is single line comment. If you want multiple line comment, how you can achieve that? This one, star and give star again. So this is multi-line comment. If you click on execute, this will not execute. Whatever the lines are in the comment, this will not get executed. So if you had delete queries, update queries or insert queries, it is better to comment those lines. Now moving to next command, that is truncate and drop. So let's see how these commands work. We have this table, and if you had requirement to delete this, to remove this from the database, what you can do, drop table student. It will drop this table from the database. And if you use truncate, it will remove the data only, not the structure. Structure will be there. You can again insert the data in the table. But if you use drop, it will remove everything. You have to create the table again. So let's see the difference here between two. command completed successfully. When we again pull out the data from the table, you will find invalid object name student. It's not there. It is gone. So you again have to create this table and then only it will be there. So let's do that. We'll create this table again. Insert the data again in this table which we had done earlier. Now when we pull out the data, we'll find the data. Now I will show you how truncate works now. When we execute on truncate, the same table, when we pull out the data, you will find the structure is there, ID, name and salary. But data is gone. So there is difference. When we execute drop, it removes everything including data. But when we execute truncate, the structure is there, but data is gone. So now in the truncate, you can again insert the data. You don't need to create the table again. So that was it for today's session. I hope you understood all the commands and now we'll come up with the next session shortly. Till then, have a nice day. Bye bye. Take care. Be healthy, be safe and love your family. Bye bye.